Hey, this is Matt Boggs, and this is Mother's Day week. So I wanted to do something a little bit different and special. If you're a mom, feel a great big hug coming from me to you. And on this video, I wanted to share a lesson that I learned from my mom that completely changed my life. When I was a senior in college, I'm sitting at my desk and I've got the graduate school for education application next to the medical school application on my desk. You see, I was actually graduating pre-med. I had taken all my organic chemistry, my molecular biology, my anatomy, because I was on a track to become a doctor. I had taken my MCAT test, the admissions test for medical school. I had all my recommendations from all the faculty to go to medical school. I had busted my butt the last 4 years so that I could become a doctor. And yet my senior year, something strange started to happen. I had this still small voice rise up in me and start telling me the word teacher. You're going to be a teacher. And believe me, I resisted that voice as much as possible. I was like, what are you talking about, teacher? No, I'm going to be a doctor. That's what I've gone to school for. That's what I've studied endless nights for. That's what I've sacrificed so many parties and going out to be able to do well on these tests so that I could get into medical school. That's what we've invested in, is to become a doctor. So don't talk to me about this teacher stuff, still small voice, like go away. But you probably know, as I discovered, when you don't listen or pay attention to the still small voice, it doesn't stay still and it doesn't stay small. It starts to get louder, doesn't it? And so that message was pounding away at me my senior year saying, teacher, you're gonna be a teacher. And so it was a decision moment for me. I needed to decide what I was gonna do. I've got both applications on my desk and I called my mom. And I said, Mom, I know that I have just invested the last 4 years of education on a track to become a doctor, and that we've invested over $100,000 in this education. Well, correct me, like you have invested over $100,000 in this education. Would you be mad at me if I changed paths at this moment? And I feel this calling to be a teacher, and I don't even know what that's about, but I think I maybe should become a teacher. And she said, Matt, I'm going to give you the advice my father gave me when I was at a crossroads in my life. And I said, what's that advice? And she goes, the advice is do what gives you life. And the moment she spoke those words to me, I knew what the right decision was for myself. I could feel it inside. And so I filled out the application for the graduate school of education to become a teacher, and I crumpled up the application for medical school and I threw it in the trash. And then I graduated. 3 weeks after I graduated, and right before I started my studies to become a teacher, my mother takes me on a spiritual pilgrimage. It was a gift, a graduation gift, and we go to India. And we're spending 2 weeks in India on this pilgrimage and seeing all the holy sites and the Ganges River. And one day, the guide comes to us and says that we have an opportunity to meet with a real-life yogi. And would we like to meet with this gentleman? And he will read our auras and tell us about our life. And so we said, sure, that sounds amazing. And so the guide leads us through this small village. So imagine this, just dirt roads, these narrow corridors with donkeys pulling wagons full of cabbage, pushing past us, and we're finding our way. And you can smell the fresh cooked curry in the air in the kitchens of the houses that are cooking. And we finally come to this one house, and there's a stairwell that wraps around the outside of this house and up onto the roof. And we're going to go meet with this yogi on this rooftop. And as we're walking up the stairs, we get to the top of the roof, and I see this man all dressed in white hair, jet black skin, sitting in a plastic Corona chair. And I'm looking at this scene thinking, wait a minute, why are all spiritual masters on a mountaintop or a rooftop somewhere? And instantly, I became skeptical. Instantly, my BS meter started to go off and say, I don't know if I want to do this. And he was going to read our auras and tell us about our life. And so I came to my mom and I said, Mom, I don't think I want to do this. You know, I just made a big decision for my life and I don't want anything to throw me off my track at this point. And she goes, okay, no worries. I will go. And the other two people who were with us, they're going to go and we'll just report back to you what we think and if we think it's the real deal. So the first person in our group sits down in front of this gentleman. They're both sitting in chairs, if you can imagine. And the yogi puts his hand on their forehead. And they close their eyes, and the yogi closes his eyes, and he meditates there for a few moments, and then he opens his eyes and he reads that person's aura. And it takes a few minutes, and that person comes back, and they are blown away. And they're like, oh my gosh, I had all these colors. I had red and purple and yellow, and each color meant something, and I get so much insight into my life. This man is amazing. And so the next person goes, and she sits down, and the yogi puts his hand on her forehead, and he closes his eyes, she closes her eyes. And then he opens his eyes and reads her aura, and she comes back to us. Oh my gosh, I was blown away. I had red and blue and green and yellow, and each one meant something. And I got so many insights and so many ideas. This man is amazing. And so my mom goes, and she sits down with this man. And after her reading, she comes back and she goes, this man is the real deal. So I said, fine, I'll go. There's total resistance. And so I sit down in front of this man, my arms folded, and he puts his hand on my forehead, and I keep my eyes open. I don't even close my eyes. And he finally opens his eyes and he says, okay, your aura is yellow. And I said, and? You know, my other group, they had red and blue and green, like all these different colors, and I get yellow. And I goes, and? And he goes, no, that's it, just pure yellow. I said, great. Immediately, I'm regretting my decision. I've got aura envy, right? I'm feeling aura deficient already. But then I said, all right, fine. What does yellow mean? And he goes, well, yellow is the color of a teacher. What do you plan on doing with your life? And I got chills to my toes in that moment and a lump in my throat, because I knew that still small voice was part of my soul, calling me to do what I know I'm meant to do. And I told him, I said, well, that's interesting you say that, because I actually just enrolled in the graduate school of education to become a teacher. And I'll never forget, he smiles at me and he holds his hand out and he grabs my hand and he says, good job. Way to listen. Way to listen. And you see, I didn't know from that moment when my mom gave me that advice, do what gives you life, that our souls speak to us in a language of love and aliveness. That when we do what gives us life, it actually is pointing us in the direction of our life path. I never knew that by choosing to go to the University of Oregon that next year to become a teacher, that it was going to perfectly position me to be with my grandparents right before my grandfather passed away and to witness their love story. And that love story so it changed the entire trajectory of my life, where I thought to myself, I want to have the kind of relationship they had. And it gave me the idea for a book. I never knew that as a college senior, listening to that still small voice, it would lead me to a major 6-figure book advance with Simon & Schuster and to becoming a best-selling author. I never knew that it would lead me to not just teaching 30 kids at once, but teaching 5 million people at once on the Today Show and CNN and Headline News. And not just once, but multiple times. I never knew that it was going to lead to a major 6-figure speaking, teaching, coaching career where I was speaking and connecting with people all over the world. I never knew the adventure that lied ahead of me by saying yes at that particular moment in time to that still small voice. And I'm so grateful for my mom and the guidance that she gave me, for taking a stand for what wasn't logical. It wasn't logical for me to become a teacher over a doctor at that moment. I had all my credentials. I was ready to go. But for her to give me guidance to listen to my true nature, not knowing how it would all work out, but knowing that it would work out. I'm so grateful for my mom for taking a stand for my greatness, for taking a stand for me and for being in my corner. And if you're a mom, know this. Your kids, they might not appreciate you immediately, depending on what age group they are, right? But know this, your influence, your impact in your kids' lives will stretch out far beyond anything that you can measure, far beyond anything that you can imagine. And there will be many years, many experiences where they either verbalize it to you or internally they think to themselves, I am so grateful for my mom, and they're thinking about you. And so if your mom is around, if she's alive, today's the day to give her a call. Give her a message of love. Send her a note, a text, something to let her know how much she means in your life. And if you are a mom, let this message be a message of appreciation for you, of how much you matter and how much you're changing not only your children's lives, but by means of them, the whole world. So feel my love today. Happy Mother's Day, and I look forward to seeing you soon.